Well, some encouraging global economic news today. The International Monetary Fund forecasts that widespread use of COVID-19 vaccines will lead to greater economic recovery this year. The IMF now projects the global economy to grow 5.5% this year. That is up from its forecast in October of 5.2%. The IMF also raised its growth estimate for the U.S. to 5.1% from a prior estimate of 3.1%. Joining me now on Skype to talk more about the economic outlook here in the U.S. and globally is Joel Griffith, Research Fellow at the Heritage Foundation. Joel, welcome back. Always good to see you. This is really good news, but the IMF really was quick to point out this forecast is still subject to uncertainty, with a lot of depending on what we see with the coronavirus. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, you're exactly right. There's a lot of variables at play here. And what we know over the past 9 months is that this recovery varies from state to state. If you look at places like Georgia, Idaho, Missouri, and Utah in the United States, those economies are actually now larger in terms of output than they were prior to the pandemic. And that's largely because those states either didn't shut down like other states did to the same extent, or they have now reopened. And meanwhile, if you go across the border out west to California or New York or Illinois, those states are in a severe economic recession still because you have governors and mayors that have kept large parts of the business sector shuttered. So as we continue the reopening process, we should continue the economic recovery, but it will vary from state to state depending on how much freedom returns.
Yeah. And Joel, I know that you know this, that President Joe Biden is proposing a new $1.9 trillion economic relief package. This comes after a $900 billion COVID aid bill, which was passed last month. What are your thoughts on this proposal, and what do you like about it, and what do you think needs to be changed?
Well, there's quite a bit about this proposal that's actually quite dangerous for the economy. You think about the fact that we're borrowing trillions of dollars from future generations to send to many people that actually are employed. 90% plus of Americans thankfully do have a job. And what we're doing is we're borrowing from their children and grandchildren, and we're putting it in their pockets now. And this is not what we need in this recession. This is a recession like none other, a recession where the government itself told businesses, told people they could not participate in the economy. So this stimulus package is not actually going to stimulate long-term growth. It's actually going to be a drag on long-term growth. And in fact, there's parts of this that are actually even more troubling. We're talking about increasing the minimum wage, doubling the federal minimum wage. We're going to be chopping off the rung on the economic ladder for so many people that actually don't have experience or don't have the education that others of us are fortunate to have. We are going to price them out of the jobs market. And this is something that our legislators should be keeping in mind. And unfortunately, they're steamrolling ahead on this multi-trillion-dollar spending package.
Well, Joe, we have about probably a minute or so left, but I do want to ask you this last question. All this really comes amid the release of a new study from economists at the University of Chicago and the University of Notre Dame, indicating the U.S. recorded its sharpest spike in the poverty rate since the 1960s. With African Americans hardest hit. What's the way forward, do you think, in your opinion? How can we turn this all around?
Oh, it's so sad to see what's happened here and elsewhere across the world the past year. We've seen years of progress undone because of these shutdowns. We know what works, and that means lower taxes on investors and individuals so that we can actually increase the number of jobs opportunities, so that we can increase productivity, which increases our standard of living overall. Well, prior to this pandemic, thanks to regulatory reform and thanks to tax cuts, we had median household income at an all-time high. We had unemployment rates at a generational low. In fact, minority groups benefited even more than other groups with that plunge in the unemployment rate. We need to get back to that, and that means not rolling forward with these proposed tax hikes that President Biden has proposed. That means not moving forward with this assault on our energy independence like we saw the other day with President Biden halting construction of the natural gas pipeline. We need to continue in those things that we know work, and that's lower taxes, lower regulations, and just allowing people and businesses to pursue the opportunities in front of them.
Okay, we're going to leave it right there. Thank you so much. Joel Griffith, Research Fellow at the Heritage Foundation. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.